This is the story of Walter Black, a hopelessly depressed individual. The successful and loving family man he used to be has gone missing. And no matter what he's tried, Walter can't seem to bring him back.
What's that?
It's a brain. Mom says yours got broken.
So you can see that Walter is a man who's lost all hope. But he's about to find his voice.
Bloody hell. Look at you. I'm sick. Do you want to get better? Who are you? I'm the Beaver, Walter. And I'm here to save your damn life.
Man, if only somebody had given this son of a bitch a puppet 5 years ago. All this could have been avoided.
It all makes sense.
All the controversy, the racism, the sexism.
That's true. All the headlines would have been about Mel Gibson's puppet is a racist.
I know. He's like, what can I do?
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you, you two Lord.
The puppet would have came out and said, I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen to me. You're on your own, Mel.
Why is a bunch of racist slurs coming out of that suitcase?
Get the fuck out of here! He just goddamn Jews. Just be like, you ever seen that movie Magic? It's not my fault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing I say about this movie. It is the greatest evil ventriloquist movie I've ever seen.
Oh man, this is the timing. Depending on how you look at it, couldn't have been better or worse. For me, I'm like, hey, you know something? I didn't even want to go see this at first because Mel Gibson, I'm just not a fan right now for obvious reasons. Yeah, seriously.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
But when I heard that it was him,
I still like him.
No, you don't. But when I learned that this was about him losing his mind and then having a beaver puppet come in and calm him down, kind of bring him back down to earth a little bit, I was like, this could be very interesting.
Why would you not want to see that? It's like it's almost like you want to see almost like a biopic, and that's exactly when I heard about this movie. I'm like, even if this is just a made up story, Mel Gibson should take this story and just go, look, this is what's going on with me right now, and I'm showing it to the public right now, and just to clear up all the craziness.
It should have been a documentary.
It really should.
Well,
yeah,
actually, you know what? You bring up a good point, co-host, because now would be the perfect time for him to say, all that shit I did, I was preparing for this role.
Sure.
Greatest actor alive.
Yeah. I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings, but I am so goddamn method. You would not believe.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah. And I think the world would just give him one blank stare. Fuck off.
Just stare back.
Bullshit.
Stare back for a second, reach behind him, and pull out. Woodsy, the puppet.
He should go like on a worldwide acting tour and just go, look, I created a new method. It's called Mel Gibson right here.
Exactly.
I present it to you now.
Hey, man, but I tell you, if society changed, if people saw this, you're like, man, I'm feeling really fucking depressed. I barely want to get out of bed in the morning. I'm just going to talk to everyone with a puppet from now on. If that was acceptable, I'd totally do that shit. Wouldn't you like that? You walk around everywhere, yeah, give me a cheeseburger, bitch. I'm sorry, it's the puppet. Fuck you, douchebag.
Yeah. If I was a cook and that puppet did that to me, I would cut it off.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you can't take me to jail. I was attacking the puppet.
I already have that puppet. It's called Korey Coleman. That's right.
Hey, wait a minute.
There would be man on puppet crime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Is that stick that's up my ass at the time?
That's what it is.
What?
By the way, nothing stopping you except I think, Mel Gibson could get away with it. You would not.
No, I would not. Well, even Mel Gibson wouldn't get away with that. Jodie Foster might be able to get away with it.
Let me know when you want to try that, though, because I want to get a camera. Make your movie next.
My new man on the street series of interviews. Hello? A puppet and an ass beating.
Well, Mel Gibson can make money from doing that. You would be out on the street with every other homeless guy with an invisible friend.
That's true.
It remains to be seen whether he makes money doing this.
That is true, because this is a movie directed by Jodie Foster, and you got that factor there. She's kind of there to
honestly, hearing that she was directing it made me go like, all right, maybe there's some credence to this. I'll give it a chance.
Yeah,
she's certainly a woman of poise and talent, and she's made some films I loved, some films, you know. But even so, you want to see whatever she does, and so that alone for me was like, okay, sure, let's check this out. Mel Gibson's craziness aside, let's see what
she's the sober driver. I'd imagine you're going to be okay if you're on the road with her with Mel Gibson in the passenger seat.
The way I looked at it, I thought like, well, Jodie Foster is Mel Gibson's puppet because she's out there just like trying her best to sell this movie. She's out there just talking about.
Had to give her respect.
I know she's like, we saw her at the South by Southwest, where the debut for the film was there at the Paramount, but she's there. She's in interviews, and the whole time she's talking, she's like, really, I just love this guy. You can't meet a sweeter guy. I'm telling you, this guy gave me the best performance of my life. And I'm like, he gave me the best performance of his life, too. I didn't really like it. And again, I ain't getting paid for it.
Didn't you almost wish somebody from the audience would have gotten up at the end of all that Q&A and just said, Jodie Foster, I'm so sorry. And I just left it at that.
It's a shame most people will never see or even hear of this movie.
You know, that waits to be seen. I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, I think it is going to be a hard sell, but he does give a pretty impressive performance in here. But the movie itself as a whole doesn't. I don't think it all comes together.
Well, tell people what it's about.
Yeah, I mean,
what's it about, Korey?
It's Mel Gibson with a beaver puppet. I mean, what really do you need to know?
Hey, that's my puppet. Korey, tell these people what it's all about.
No, it was like such a long line to see it. I was like, maybe people thought this was the Beaver. I don't know. I thought there was some confusion there.
Or they thought Mel Gibson was going to be there with his puppet.
You know what? That might have been what it was. They thought he was actually, they heard a star was going to be there, and they thought it might be him. And think it's going to be him. I would have showed up 2 hours early. I was like, I got to see what this crazy motherfucker.
You talking about Mel Gibson with his hand up Justin Bieber's ass? Is that what you're telling me? What?
That would be a performance. I think Beaver tried out for that role. But no, it's about a husband who's also an executive of a toy company. And I guess he's suffering from very, very deep clinical depression.
Yes.
This guy.
Well, it seems to be hereditary because you get the impression his father committed suicide also.
His father, too.
And there's hints of like it's going, like his grandfather, maybe his great grandfather. It's amazing they have any kind of family tree because somebody should have killed himself before like they were able to have another kid. But
maybe if his name wasn't Jack Douchebag. I mean, seriously, wouldn't you change your name at that point?
But somehow they're able to like fuck real quick, produce a kid, and then knock themselves off at some point down the line. So he's the heir to like this whole suicidal trend going on,
as well as the company that he owns at this point, which is like a toy company.
Yeah, Jericho, some kind of toy company,
of which he himself even admits, I am totally unqualified to do this job at all. But here I am, and now it just makes shit even worse because he is at stage 5 depression.
Oh yeah, no,
he's at like the lowest point you get before you manage to knock yourself.
Yeah, it's
off.
at that point where you look at somebody and say, man, how do people kill themselves by jumping off a building? Does that seem so weird and crazy? And it's like when you look at him, it's like, yeah, that guy couldn't do it fast enough.
Yeah,
but everything is going to shit around him. I mean, his depression is bringing his family down. It's bringing the company down. And it's only a matter of time before he's about to get kicked out of both. It happens with the family first. And he's in a hotel room one night. He's about to knock himself off, but he starts throwing stuff away. And when he goes to the dumpster, he finds this Beaver. I started to say this. He finds Justin Bieber in the trash.
That'll be next year.
Yeah. He picks him up and cradles him. No, that was Usher's story. He found him in the trash. No, he finds this Beaver puppet that somebody threw away, and he starts to walk away, but then he comes back, picks it up, and immediately this thing becomes like a split personality, and it starts to tell him, hey, look, you need to get on with your life. Get up, quit feeling sorry for yourself, move on from this. And I'm going to be there to help you.
No. Move on for this, mate. You got to do it in that super thick Cockney accent.
I thought it was Michael Caine.
I know.
First.
When the voiceover first comes on, I did think it was Michael Caine.
I didn't know Michael Caine was in this movie. Yeah, and Michael Caine as the puppet.
So
he does do a hell of an impression. So that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I would try and do it, but I'll probably sound as bad as you do. So I'll skip it.
But the thing is, you know what? He does it so thickly. I wasn't even afraid. I'm like, even if I fuck this up, it still is going to be right on par with his.
Who's the guy that was in Beowulf?
Ray Winstone.
I thought it was Ray Winstone. And so this
he sounded like Beowulf.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Like Beowulf. He's
wow.
Like, hey man, get up. Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
He sounded like the crime boss and a British gangster.
Yeah, I was gonna say any given character in a Guy Ritchie film.
It is like that.
Oh wow. Okay. Now is it off-putting? I mean, is it there to be like comedy?
No, this is not. Well, Jodie Foster came out and said that this is not a comedy. Now, you can't look at a guy with
I'm sorry. Her coming out saying, like, you guys, this is not a comedy.
Well,
and I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, I don't think you know what a comedy is.
Well, no, I mean, it's a drama. I mean, at its heart, it is a drama. And you can't help but look at a guy with a beaver puppet on his hand and not laugh. I mean, and it is, I mean, because I do feel like as much as you want to laugh, there is this underlying tone of sadness, because you look at it and it's like, as funny as this might be, this character he's truly mentally ill. I mean, he's telling his wife and his kids, and his wife is Jodie Foster plays his wife in the movie. And you also have Anton Yelchin as his son, his teenage son. I think he's like 18 or something, and about to graduate from high school.
Okay, yeah, he's about to graduate from high school, but my God, Anton Yelchin, he grew up super fast. I'm like, he's up there playing a high school student. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Your year for that is over.
This is the guy who was in Star Trek and Terminator, Salvation.
Alpha Dog.
He was a cute kid at one time, and he grew up to be a man that could beat your fucking ass. You know, it's like it happened overnight. Yeah, so his family's already having problems. I mean, the wife is trying to hold it together. His son is at school. He's kind of forging papers for people, so it's only a matter of time before he gets in trouble with something. And so they're already having these problems, but when he comes back, with him having therapy from this puppet, it seems to be bringing things together. He's able to communicate with his wife a little better. He's able to talk to their youngest son, who's like about 5 years. Yes, 5 years old.
15.
Yeah, he's a midget with a wig on.
I think it was Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, he's got like a little preschool son. He's able to like spend more time with him. They're doing projects together. The only one is Anton Yelchin, who's like, this guy's crazy. He can see it for what it is. He's like, this truly is sad. I mean, this guy.
It's like, Dad, you can't bring the puppet into the counselor meeting.
Except, I mean, this is the angry young man's son who's just like, this is fucking bullshit. Why are we putting up with this?
Can't you see he's still completely broken and nothing has changed? And he's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Jodie Foster, she's like, she's a mom. She's like, well, maybe I can work with it and just keep the family together. And you got the son going, Mom, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is dumb.
Now, is he interacting with the puppet along with the family, or is he keeping that a secret?
No. He's not keeping it a secret. The puppet is doing all his talking. Right. It's like Korey saying that he's interacting, he's doing better. He ain't doing shit. The puppet is doing all the talking. The puppet is the one being funny, chatting with the son, talking. He shows up at the board meeting, he calls a big meeting and says, all right, from now on, the puppet saying, I'm in charge, I'm going to run things here.
And the puppet's actually good at it, as opposed to Mel Gibson's character, because the puppet makes this great business decision that makes the company a shit ton of money, and everyone's like, man, I love that puppet.
Wow. Okay, now I'm expecting like fucking Triumph, the comic dog, to come out and start doing his own serious movies. Like he's going to pull a Jim Carrey or something.
Almost funny though, because Jodie Foster coming out and saying it's not a comedy, she's right and wrong, because there's a transfer point in this film where it could turn into a number of different genres if it wanted to. Like the plot, you could have that same film all the way up into that point, about almost 3/4 of the way in, and then go, which way are you going to go with this? Is it going to stay a comedy? Or is it going to turn into a horror movie? Because there's a point the puppet's like, I'm real, motherfucker.
It's like a Twilight Zone episode.
Or is it going to turn into a drama? And that moment when you realize that, wow, this guy, regardless of how charming this puppet has been and how you're kind of laughing along, this guy is so incredibly fucked up. Is like, okay, it's a drama.
Because you guys talking about it, actually, the movie's also giving me hints of that Ben Stiller movie, Permanent Midnight.
Right.
Where it seemed like
the whole time, right?
I think he was, where the character that Alf rip off character that they use in the movie was kind of like a Freddy Krueger, just invading his memories.
Well, what you have to understand,
making him go crazy.
There's up until that point, the puppet is more like Triumph, where he's funny and he's charming and he's making the right decisions and trying to help him out. And when people are saying like, Mel or Walter, put the puppet down. He's like, you don't understand, mate. He needs this puppet. He needs me. The therapist is not doing anything for him. I am helping him. And if you want him to stay sane, you stick with what I'm doing. All right? All right, cool.
Shit.
Now, the puppet
let's go have some pie.
He has Mel Gibson go around hand cards to people, introducing him to the Beaver. The Beaver introduces himself. He's like, I'll be speaking for, I forgot the guy's name in the movie.
It's Walter Black.
Yeah, Walter Black. He's like, I'll be speaking for Walter right now. I'm the Beaver.
The person who handed you this card is under the care of a prescription puppet designed to help create a psychological distance between himself and the negative aspects of his personality. Please treat him as you normally would, but address yourself to the puppet. Thank you.
There you go.
Is this some kind of a joke?
No, hardly, love. Nothing funny about it.
Stop it with the puppet. All right? I'm confused, Walter, and I need some answers right now.
People are like, okay, so the Beaver goes around, he starts bringing the family together, starts making the company work again. I mean, everybody at first is like, this motherfucker, is he real? But then when things start working, they're like, oh, okay, whatever works. But then it does get to a point where, one, with the family, hey, look, he starts fucking with that puppet. Like, they start having sex, and that puppet is there, and it gets kind of creepy when Mel Gibson is on his back and like, oh, and that puppet is also like, oh, yes. So, but in intimacy, that gets bad. And then with the company, it's like, okay, oh, man, we created this toy because of your idea, because of the Beaver. And all of a sudden, it's like, but wait a minute, you have to go on television now and do interviews. And people are like, oh, well, this is a great novelty, but we know what happens when celebrities get washed up in the media and it turns against them. So there's a lot of drawbacks to having this puppet around. And that's pretty much where the strength of the movie comes in, is seeing how Mel Gibson's character rises and falls with this puppet, and how nobody can really, they want everything to be right so much that they cannot see the insanity behind this puppet that this guy has, even though they think he's in some good therapy and he'll put it down in a moment.
It's almost like he's developed a split personality, really.
He has.
Multiple personalities, the way it's like, okay, because that's the way that works with them. They're like, all right, we're protecting the core personality because they're terrified. So we come out, and a lot of them are very social and very talkative. And, you know, when you realize that that's really what's happening, it's not going to stay like Jodie Foster said herself, I hate sentimentality, and I felt like I avoided it in this. And it's like, wow, you certainly did. Oh yeah, because you're like, you just dodge right around that, back around to like hard, cold. Wow, this guy is really fucked up, and it's going to be a long road to recovery. that was just a Band-Aid to how fucked up he really is.
You guys are really making this movie sound like really fucking interesting, really fucking awesome.
Well, the thing is, I guess I disagreed there where she said she tried to avoid sentimentality, because I felt like it did sink into that. When it got to the drama, I mean, it's that dark, comedic with the tone of tragedy underneath, and really serious when you get to it. But once it decided to abandon all that to go like, no, look, he has a serious problem, I thought it started to slip into sentimentality without realizing it was doing it. First off, you have the story of Anton Yelchin, his son. He's got another side plot that's going on with him and Jennifer Lawrence, and it just took away from things. I mean, I understood the parallel they were trying to draw, but every time they went to it, it's like, this is not that interesting.
It detracts from the story because, Anton Yelchin's story is so melodramatic. I mean, it's that drama where we have to give people problems in order to make this more dramatic than it needs to be, because Jennifer Lawrence has this family secret, and Anton Yelchin, he becomes, it's also like a really sappy romance where he wants to like help her and save her, and it's like, all right, there's a guy with a beaver puppet, all right? Around, that's a little more. I don't care about any of this other story. There's all this melodrama that's happening. This would be even sappy for a movie that was the center of this subplot here. I mean, it's like,
well, they're unmistakably using it to draw comparisons between his character and Mel Gibson's, because even he's got a list on his wall of things his dad does that he's discovered he does too, and he wants to stop doing so that he won't be anything like his dad. But you know what I
wish they had done? I wish they had centered on, because Anton Yelchin in the movie, you're right, he does not, and this is something they tell you at the very beginning, he does not want to be like his dad at all. He's
and at this point, you can't blame him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to die. He's like, if I'm going to be like my dad, I'm going to kill myself. He has his same mannerisms, and he's like writing them all down so he can avoid them. I wanted to see more of the relationship between Mel Gibson and Anton Yelchin in the movie than I did anything with Jennifer Lawrence and Anton Yelchin. I was like, why don't they explore this? I mean, this guy, he's the only one in the family that sees him for the mental illness that he has. They should keep him in the family and have him be the one to bring he's the one having to hold the family up, Yeah,
well, I mean, the last thing I want to petition for is less Jennifer Lawrence. Don't get me wrong.
She's so beautiful. Hot
yeah, exactly. But the more they focus on the relationship between them, the more they were getting away from what was important. Yeah. The thing about the movie is it's short. It's barely an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And as much as I love movies being short, this one needed more time because they try to do too much in too little of time. So what could have been a very complex drama ends up being kind of like a little bumper stickery melodrama to me. I mean, they talked, the point of the movie was to say like, hey, this whole mental illness thing, it's more complicated than you think. But I just left it going like, yeah, it's a lot more complicated than you guys are presenting it. I mean, you really simplified it way too much for it to be the complex thing it is. A guy walking around with a beaver puppet. I don't think so many people would be like, well, hey, it's working. Let's just go with that. I'm like, it would be so many legs to this thing.
Yeah. Aside from the big shock that has to go with his illness towards the end of the film, it felt like there should have been more darkness associated with it.
Yeah.
Because for most of it with the puppet, it's like, haha, isn't this cute? This is like, this is like a big Hollywood film from the 80s that ends up with everyone going, yay, now the puppet's part of the family.
Right.
Well, Mel Gibson.
Where is that darkness? How come there's not another puppet at some point?
Well, yeah, Mel Gibson in the movie, listen, I don't like Mel Gibson right now. I don't care if he's fucking crazy in real life or not. And I don't like people trying to present him as, oh, he really is a great guy. I don't hang out with this motherfucker, So in the movie, I will admit,
I need to hear some Jews tell me that he's a great guy.
Yeah, I need to hear some black Jews
to make it okay.
Yeah.
And a few women too.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the okay sign. All right.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna hold the performance against him. I mean, this character that they have, I think he portrays it so well that I want to see more. The thing that really kind of made me almost angry about it is that I thought this character was complex enough to where they made his story kind of silly. Just a little, because in order they did make it darker, but they made it darker in a cartoony way. You'll appreciate this.
Okay.
I turned to Leon and I said, man, it's be fun to turn to Evil Dead 2.
And sure enough.
Look, it does for a little bit.
Cue.
Oh, yeah.
It does for a little bit, and then they go all the way with it. I mean, that puppet, for them to make it dark, and this is where it gets silly. I don't think they ever should have done this. That puppet's like, turns to Mel Gibson like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I owe you that. And it's like, man, this is turned into a horror film.
Yeah.
And it's like, for the mental illness that they're trying to explore, we don't need to see this right here.
Cyrus told me about that last night when I saw him, and it for a second I was like, fuck, I want to see it. I really want to see it now, especially after you saying that. But saying that, though, I know the guy has a serious mental illness, and I guess the film tries to present it as a serious manner. Did you think that they were almost too comedic with it to where you think, somebody who has a serious illness, like they'd watch this and go, okay, they're just spoofing me. This is like a caricature of a sick person.
I thought it skated that edge, but where it got too fanciful for me was, and I hate this in movies, where somebody does something and it takes the world by storm. And I'm like, look, you did something and it's nice, people are into it, but don't. I just hate when they have that arrogance, like, hey, this character did something that the whole world was into.
That took it a step too far.
It did.
It went into Tootsie territory.
Exactly. Yeah. And it felt, it had that 80s feel where they would do that in movies a lot. And it's just kind of like, you guys, I don't know, like him appearing on all these talk shows, and he's on the cover of every magazine because this toy is so popular.
And by the way, every
the toy
magazine
itself,
on the rack,
GQ is not going to report on the guy who made a
Playboy,
awesome
Penthouse.
Yeah, that puppet is on GQ.
You want to see some spread Beaver?
Oh yeah, right. So on the Over 40 magazine.
which you know what, Cyrus, you bring that up. I wanted to ask this at the Q&A, but just okay. Of all the rodents you could have chosen to make this puppet about, why the beaver? I mean,
only thing I can think of is because of the toy that ends up getting associated with it later.
But they could have made a different toy. It could have been, a chipmunk. I'm just saying, like, the beaver has that sexual connotation. Yeah. So if it's
why did you ask that?
Well, if it's not going to figure into your movie, because I was pissed off that she got everybody to clap for Mel Gibson, and I was just like, fuck this.
It's not like she was going to flash her vag.
She's a lesbian. She probably would tell, because I like Beaver, motherfucker. That's why.
Okay. Well, that would have been an answer.
My own special.
Has she officially said that she's a lesbian?
No, I don't think she's officially ever said that.
Well, everybody has said it, and she has done nothing.
Because I'm like, she does a greater job of keeping her secrets. I mean, that's like maybe she should give some Mel Gibson some hints.
She says nothing.
Yeah, she does. I mean, for the longest time, I always wondered, is she lesbian or what? I've never seen pictures of her or a girlfriend or anyone.
And speaking of Jodie Foster, I think she directed the movie pretty well. I mean, look, she's a veteran Hollywood actress. I mean, she knows what she's doing. I think and this is somebody else's script. I forgot who the script writer is.
Something Killian. He lives here.
He actually lives here in Austin. It's hard to tell what changed between script and film. But the for what they had here, the subject matter, I'm not saying that they disrespected it. I'm just saying I wish that they wouldn't have brought as many Hollywood cliches into it as they did, because like I said, it's you're right. Leon's talking about how this guy rises to stardom and everybody wants to know him. I can see how it's important to the story, but the way they did it was just a little bit extreme. And then that whole thing of it turns into a horror cartoon when that puppet turns against him. I mean, you see hints of it at first, and you're thinking like, okay, if they don't go any step back past this, I'm okay, because when everybody tries to reach out to Mel Gibson, he starts banging his head on the table like, and then the puppet's like, see, I told you, I told you to fucking listen to me, did you?
That's why I brought up Permanent Midnight, because that was like the main plot of Permanent Midnight, with Alf basically coming out and scaring him like Freddy Krueger, telling him he's fucking up, he's worthless, and all this.
Well, you know what? Like the puppet here is his. It's almost like a damaged best friends relationship or something. Because at first he's like, thank God for this puppet. I don't know if I could survive without it. And even then it turns like just codependent. And the puppet's like, you need me, motherfucker, and you know it. I mean, yeah, sure, I know my right hand's my best friend too. But I mean,
I could have gone without saying, but yes.
A little bit too far. My right hand is not withholding sexually for other shit.
Late breaking news about Cyrus.
But it is one of those things when the puppet gets pried away from him, he just turns into Michigan Frog. He just sinks down.
You didn't like that, and I loved that. That's when the movie really won me over on the whole.
On what part?
When it turned dark like that, because at first I'm like, okay, this is all right, but this is kind of almost making light of mental illness, the way that like, oh, look how funny he is with this puppet. He's so likable. And when things turn really dark, I was like, okay, finally, now we're actually showing that this guy is serious. He's not just damaged goods. He is broken in tiny little pieces. You should probably not be anywhere near him.
Oh no, that made it scary. I liked how dark it got.
Okay.
Like I said,
I thought you were saying you didn't.
No, I did. I liked how dark it got when they showed how crazy he was, and people start to realize, all right, this guy, this is not help. He needs something. He needs to be locked up, and they don't avoid that. No, it's I found it kind of outlandish when they got to like places like a puppet beatdown, when they cut to a scene where Mel Gibson looks like an abused wife, and he talked a little bit too much to that puppet, and that puppet had to put him in line.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about they got the Beaver and they did like a Rodney King on him or something. I was like, they beat that puppet in front of him to let him know this thing is not fucking real.
That puppet is all about bitch better have my money.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think it's a bad film. There's a lot that I like in there. And all the acting I did like. Mel Gibson is great in it. I think Jodie Foster directed this well. She's great in it. I mean, really, you feel her pain, man, when she's just like, she's taking a shower with this puppet, having sex with this puppet, and she's just kind of like, you feel really bad for her.
I kind of feel bad for her now, because like with all the, at least some of the publicity I've seen and heard about this movie, like there's no mentioning of Jodie Foster even in this movie. It seems like it's just all about.
I think she wants to like
supporting character, really.
Yeah, I mean, she's good as a supporting. You do feel it. She anchors the film in a way, but I don't think she wants to bring the attention on her. And Anton Yelchin, I mean, that's a kid. I saw him in another movie at Sundance, and that kid is he's really coming into his own as an actor.
I thought he came into his own when I saw him in Star Trek, pulling off.
He was still kind of a kid. Yeah. I mean, he
looked like a kid still in Star Trek. Yeah, he had a growth spurt or something.
I mean,
but just acting wise, I just thought like seeing him that even in Terminator, I was like, well, it's unfortunate this guy can't be in like better films, but he's a great actor. I mean,
but it's just funny to see him in this, where you just saw him in Terminator and Star Trek, where he's a kid, and now a year later you see him in this movie, and he's a grown ass man trying to be a high school student. He looks like, it's just like, dude, I'm just not buying it. You look too old. And then the actor showed up on stage, and when he's up there, you're like, yeah, you really look too old.
And they showed him and Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence.
So
Jennifer Lawrence, she was white trash hot and
you weren't
Winter's
going
Bone.
like, damn, she's a
I was.
I was like, oh, she's cute, or whatever.
She's cute, but
at the Oscars, I was just like, whoa, who is
what
that?
movie was she in?
Winter's Bone. I saw Winter's Bone, and it's like, man, she's got that white trash look, and I love that. I don't think she can get any hotter than this, because all she's gonna do is clean up and not be that attractive, but. Man, when she cleans up, she's gorgeous. She is a starlet.
Magic 8 Ball. Is Korey's future in a trailer park somewhere?
and
at least for a night or two.
And when his character goes out on a date with her, and the way he blows it, he just wanted to yell at him like, "How did you fuck this up?
Oh, I know.
You blew it."
What happened to it? Like, just abort. Stop.
You feel like you're you feel like
it's like
you feel like you're fucking it up. You're on the date.
It's like you want to like tell dude, no. He's like, stop. I got this. I know what I'm doing.
Simple, dude. Keep it simple.
So you all turned into that Beaver, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Stop. But put the brakes on. And all that stuff. You know, all the actors in here, Jodie Foster, Anton Yelkin, he's great in this. Jennifer Lawrence is great. I mean, she is coming into her own.
She is really good.
The movie is good. It's just, for me, and I don't know, it's going to be a lot of things for a lot of people, but for me, it was kind of sidetracked by a subplot that we mentioned that took away from the meat of the story here. And I thought it just went to some very cartoony levels where they had it kind of leveled up at the right spot, but they had to go that extra step further. I mean, you know, Evil Dead 2 territory is not the place to go with this kind of movie.
Damn it. If you ask me, it's the only place to go.
Complete with fight scenes and everything.
Oh, wow.
I suspect that Jodie Foster is probably completely unaware of the Evil Dead 2. And she probably has never seen it. She's probably never even heard of it. And she's like, wow, with the Evil Dead, what? Are you serious?
Yeah,
what?
but with Mel Gibson being such a fan of the Three Stooges, he should have known about it.
I would love
it's just short of him going,
I'm glad I wasn't there, because at the Q&A, I wouldn't have given a shit. I'm like, all right, Jodie Foster, just admit it. You're a fan of Evil Dead 2, right? Don't try to fucking lie. Fuck all these critics in this room.
I would like somebody to put a camera in her room, send her that movie, and when she's watching, just watch it go like, oh, fuck. But, you know, I give this a matinee. I did enjoy it. I just wanted to enjoy it a lot more from what they offer.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we agree with each other point for point pretty much here. It's a matinee, and it's much better than you think it's going to be, but it's falls short of greatness on several levels, which is sad. You see, it's so evident all the places they fucked up, and you're like, oh, you could have fixed that really easily by just losing a scene here, adding an extra line of dialogue there. But yeah, it's a matinee.
And I agree with you guys on just about every point, the acting and also the flaws. I just didn't warm up to it as much as you guys did. To me, it's a movie that was really trying to be American Beauty, but it ended up being more like Pay It Forward or K-Pax. Where
that's what I said to you after the movie. I was like, this is like American Beauty with the Beaver.
But it just reminded me more of Pay It Forward, where it's like, well, your heart's in the right place. And, you know, it's like you got the damaged main character and your heart's in the right place and you're trying to win me over, except I can see the construction and the pieces, and you know it comes from a Hollywood kit on how to make a movie like this.
I never thought about it being like Pay It Forward, but and when you said that at first, I was like, I don't understand. Maybe you just hate Kevin Spacey. But then I love
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, I know, but then I was like, I see your point now. You making
poor man's American Beauty. Huh? Well,
I wish I liked it more, and it's certainly definitely an interesting premise. If it could have trimmed some things and just drawn some things out and not gone those places, for me right now, it's a high rental, maybe low matinee.
Really? Do you wish you can give it more only because you're hoping that at some point you want to actually like Mel Gibson again and embrace him and for the
no. I mean, you know what? That's the thing is. What I realized with this is it's not like I'm hating on the movie because I hate Mel Gibson. It's just that I don't feel that sense of protection about him. Like, I love this guy, so I'm going to go ahead and give it extra points because he's in it. It's like you just don't have that.
The same way I judge Roman Polanski's films, or even Marlon Brando, who was, by the way, a ridiculously huge asshole. Yeah. You know, it's like, come on, man. It's like I go to see a Pablo Picasso painting in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and that guy was one of the biggest sexist assholes ever. Mm-hmm. You know. Okay, I'm going to judge this film, not Mel Gibson. Do I hope he stops getting roles because he's a dick? Sure, but I'm still going to review his movies like I would any other movie, regardless of.
I do the same thing when I look at Hitler's paintings.
Hey, those are worth a lot of money.
But no, I mean, I'm glad you guys. I was sorry, kids out there. I was watching another movie. I was watching Attack the Block while you guys are watching this, which sucked because I really did want to see this movie. But I mean, you guys at least you make me really want to see it now, despite the bad things about it.
Last night I slipped up and called it American Beaver when I was.
Oh really? Yeah.
When I was talking about it, I was like, and I didn't even know. Like, this is like American Beaver, and they're like, American Beaver. What are you talking about? That's what we just saw. Right?
Well, but I'll be looking forward to the Beaver Hunters review of it in their magazine.
And Leon had me laughing. He whispered to me, and he's like, man, the way that Beaver is like beating him down, that's going to be his pimp after a while. I just was waiting for that scene when Mel Gibson showed up in makeup and a skirt, giving his hand money.
Yeah. Has that not happened already, though?
I just want to see James Lipton get Mel Gibson again in there, asking him, like, how much wood would a woodchuck?
Except it'll be inside the actor's studio with the Beaver puppet.
And then Mel Gibson slapped the shit out of things.
Yeah, hosted by William Shatner, according to Cyrus here.
Hey, impressions are my strong.
person who handed you this card is under the care of a prescription puppet designed to help create a psychological distance between himself and the negative aspects of his personality.
This is a joke, right?
No, son. It's a fresh start.